What's up, guys? My name is Jerry, and today's video is going to be on the Portland Trailblazers, and we're going to be looking at the best trade targets for this team, and we're going to jump right into the video. Now, right now, the main goal, the main focus of the Portland Trailblazers is to put a championship contending team around Damian Lillard, and assuming that they bring back all their key free agents, the roster that they have right now is pretty solid. They have a superstar in Damian Lillard, and whenever he's healthy, he's one of the top 2 point guards in this league. They have an emerging star in Anthony Simons, who showed he could score the basketball at a high clip, and he also showed that he could do it efficiently. And then they also have another great young player in Josh Hart, who I think is filled with a lot of potential, and he excelled at playing defense and shooting the three ball for the Blazers last season. And then Yusuf Nurkic, whenever he's healthy, he's great in the low post. He's a great playmaker out of the post, and he's also great at setting screens and rolling to the rim. So those are some pretty solid pieces that the Blazers have, and they obviously know that they're going to need more to compete. And with this year's free agency class being so weak, one of the first places they're probably going to look is via trade. And there's a couple of guys that I have in mind for the Blazers, and what I think they need is some high-level utility players. And what I mean by that is guys that excel at more than one thing, guys that can shoot the three ball, create for themselves, and they have to be elite on the defensive side of the ball. And one person I want to bring to you guys' attention is OG Anunoby from the Toronto Raptors. And one way that the Blazers can attain this guy is during the draft. If it's somebody up that the Toronto's Raptors like on the draft board, by the time it gets to the number 7 pick, they just might pull the trigger on that trade, because OG Anunoby, he's expressed multiple times that he's unhappy with his role in Toronto, and it's mainly because they have a bunch of players that basically do what he does. And I think bringing OG Anunoby over to the Raptors, over from the Raptors to the Blazers for the number 7 pick, I think that will make a lot of sense for the Blazers, just given that I think OG Anunoby will be a lot more valuable to them right now than a 7th pick in the first round. But when we look at his game, we look at his first of all, let's talk about his experience. I know he's a young player, 24 years of age, but he has a lot of experience in his league. He's seen a bunch of playoff series really since he's come into the NBA, and then he's also won a championship around Kawhi Leonard. So he's been to that stage, and he definitely knows what it takes to win. So that'll be great for Damian Lillard and these other guys. And then you look at what he can do offensively, and I think he's really, really underrated. He can do basically everything on the offensive side of the ball. He can create his own shot. He can play without the ball and hit spot up threes, and he can cut to the rim. And also, he's great at driving to the basketball hoop and finishing with both hands. And then my favorite part about his game is him on the defensive side of the ball. And he's 6'8", 6'7", 6'9", somewhere in that range. You never know with today's NBA, the way they be measuring these players. Everybody is a different height, everybody is a different height every other day. But he's a taller player, so he's going to be great on the defensive side of the ball for the Portland Trailblazers, especially if they come into next season with a backcourt of Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard. And then you look at this potential starting five of Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Yusuf Nurkic. Now that might be kind of small, but with the direction that the NBA going in today, I don't think it would hinder them that much, especially if they have Yusuf Nurkic down there. He's a pretty good guy, a pretty big guy, and he's great at rebounding the basketball. But this will just leave the Portland Trailblazers with multiple defenders in their lineup, and I think it will take a lot of pressure off Dame offensively and defensively. So that's one guy that I like for the Portland Trailblazers. And the guy that I think will be that I think makes the most sense for the Portland Trailblazers is Jeremy Grant. And Jeremy Grant, now he's about 6'8", 6'9", and I think he can provide the same thing that OG Anunoby can provide, but I think he's better at playing without the basketball than him, and that's going to be so important when you have two guys like Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons. Those guys are going to have the basketball in their hands a lot, and I think Jeremy Grant, Watching him in Detroit this past season, watching him adapt with Sadiq Bey and Cade Cunningham, he proved that he can be just as valuable offensively without having the ball in his hands as much. And Jeremy Grant, he's proven that he's a 3-level scorer in this league. He's put up 20 points per game in his career before, which is I don't think that's talked about enough. Like, that's very hard to do, to put up 20 points per game in the NBA, but his offensive game is elite. He can hit, catch, and shoot threes. He can create his own three off the dribble. He got the mid-range game. He can score in the post, and he's great at cutting and finishing around the rim. So Jeremy Grant is very solid offensively. And then what I like about him is his versatility on the defensive side of the ball for the Portland Trailblazers. He's a guy that can guard 1 through 5. And Jeremy Grant, looking at his numbers, he averaged 4 rebounds last season. But I feel like it definitely requires some skill, but I think it requires more effort and skill. And Chauncey Billups, he come from a championship team that won a championship by team rebounding. So I think that's something he could get Jeremy Grant to buy into. And I think that's the one flaw in his game, is that he don't hit the boards hard enough. But other than that, the Trailblazers will be getting a guy that can guard literally 1 through 5, and then he could provide some offense with the ball in his hand, or playing off the ball. So he's a really valuable player in this league, and I think he will be one step. He would bring the Portland Trailblazers one step into getting to that championship goal. So those are 2 guys right there that I think will be the ideal fit for the Trailblazers. 2 utility wing players that can do a little bit of everything. And then also the DeAndre Ayton trade. Now this one is a little bit different. It wouldn't involve the 7th pick in the draft. This would have to be a sign and trade, and they will have to give up Josh Hart and Yusuf Nurkic probably. And to be honest, I see a lot of people talking about this trade, and I don't think the Portland Trailblazers should pursue that, only because I don't think DeAndre Ayton is a big enough upgrade at that center position for them to give up on Josh Hart and Yusuf Nurkic. And I think the potential is through the roof for DeAndre Ayton. I think he's going to continue to get better and better. He's only 23 years of age, but we just don't know when he's going to hit that mark yet, when he just starts to become a monster. But that's just something to consider. I'm gonna leave that one up to you guys. How do you feel about bringing DeAndre Ayton to this team? I think they should stray away from that deal, because him and Yusuf Nurkic kind of do a little bit of the same thing. But obviously, DeAndre Ayton wins that battle when it comes to upside. I think the sky's the roof on him. But that's a pretty interesting trade, and I think it would work out for both teams. But the real question is, would it be worth it for the Portland Trailblazers? But other than that, I think the Portland Trailblazers, with a healthy Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons continuing to get better, and they can keep Josh Hart, Nurkic, and they get one of those 2 wings, I think that would be the ideal start for them to get back into contention. And then they can look in the next summer to continue to make this roster better. I think the Portland Trailblazers